teachers out there, I thought I would make a series of videos about things that I do in my classroom that I've found to be really helpful. I've been teaching in the public school system for a total of about 10 years, and I've had a lot of trial and error, especially a lot of error, but some things have worked out, and so I decided we would start a series of things that I thought other teachers might find helpful. One of the most complicated things about being an elementary art teacher, at least in this area of the country, is that a lot of teachers have they either teach at multiple schools or they see lots of classes, and so you have a lot of students, which translates to a lot of artwork. And so a portfolio is a great way to help you organize and keep things straight. There's also other things to consider. A lot of us have to create portfolios of our own work that shows student growth throughout the year. And student portfolios help you to organize your students' artwork and keep it in one place. And then you can lay it out and easily see student growth. So that's one reason I use it and that it helps me. Another is I'm asked throughout the school year to hang artwork at different events, like shows at the Board of Education or local banks. We have artwork hanging in different places. And if you're sending artwork home with your students, as soon as they finish it, you don't have a very big repertoire of work that you can go to hang up. And so this enables you to have a lot to choose from. The students get really excited at the end of the year when they get their finished portfolio and get to take it home. And it's got all those projects in it for their parents to see. And also with social media nowadays, you can keep parents in the loop as you're working through the year and show pictures of what they're working on, but then the actual work, goes home at the end of the year. So anyways, it is a little bit of extra work, and I've looked online and tried to find options where you could buy a portfolio. But I have over 600 students, and so when I consider that cost out of my supply money, it's just not worth it. And so I'm going to show you today the way that I create portfolios and how I use it. And hopefully that'll help you figure out something and help you to organize those thousands and thousands of pieces of artwork that you have to manage in a year, because that's something tricky to deal with as an art teacher. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you my process, and then I'll show you what a finished product looks like. So anyways, here's how you do it. Alright, so the supplies you'll need for making student portfolios, you'll need some white paper. I use a 70-pound white sulfite paper that I order from online catalogs such as Dick Blick or Classroom Direct. I just use a thick masking tape, like a 1.5 to 2 inch from Walmart or whatever your local store is, and then you'll need scissors to trim the tape. I also ordered a custom stamp off of Etsy that says My Art Portfolio. It gives a place for student's name, grade, and then their homeroom teacher. That way I can just easily find whose it is. And so you could also have one made and do that. It saves me a lot of time. When I typically am folding portfolios, I will stack up about 5 pieces of paper and fold them all at the same time, because that way I get them folded a lot faster. But for today, I'll just be doing the one. So I just fold it in half and crease it along there. Then I take my tape, and you get fast at this after you've done a couple. It can go really fast. So I tear my tape off. It's somewhat translucent. You can kind of see through it. So I'll tape like that where I see that half is on the paper and the other half is not. Then I flip, and then if you pull your tape in the center like that, then you can pretty quickly smooth it out. Then I do the other end, and I'll just make a stack of all the taped ones, and then I'll go back and trim after I get 20 or 30 in a stack. So then I take my scissors, and you could even have student helpers. A great time to do this is at the end of the school year as students are finishing up projects. If you have a stack of these, you can choose some students and say, hey, if you'll help me by trimming out the tape, and you can see through there the line where the portfolio is, so it gives you a guide to cut on. And so then you just make a little pile of tape scraps, and then you have a nice little portfolio or pouch for students to put their artwork in. And then if you have the stamp, I got a self-inking stamp, and I will tell you, it successfully stamped over 600 portfolios, so it was well worth my money. And I think I can probably do next year's too, because it still seems to have plenty of ink. But you just press down, and create a label. And I even did it on both sides this year, so that way when I'm sorting artwork into their portfolios, I can, no matter which side it's flipped to, I can see whose it is. And that way, if somebody's portfolio gets left out, you can find which teacher's cubby to put it in with their other artwork. So it's just really helpful. So that is the process for making your own portfolios. Okay, so I showed you my process for how I create portfolios for my classroom. And like I stated earlier, I usually do this ahead of time. I'll do it over the summer, or I will do it at the end of the school year before the next year, because it does take a while to create hundreds of portfolios. However, it's totally worth it during the year. So here's like what a finished one would look like. And this is a 4th grade example that I did for my students. You can check this lesson out on my YouTube channel if you're interested. It's the basic 1-point perspective. So that's an example. We use colored pencil, but this is a great medium or, place to use different drawing techniques. You can have them use colored pencils. You can have them use crayons. You could do markers. I wouldn't do oil pastels just because you tend to stack them up, and that would get smeared. But it's a great surface to draw on. You can see my stamp there, so that way I can easily identify whose is whose when I'm going through and putting artwork into them. I can find their name quickly. They're trained to color around the box, so that works really well if you decide to order a stamp. And I'll include the link to the Etsy guy in the description, so check for that. And then on the tape, I let them use permanent like Sharpie or the Bic markers, and they really enjoy coming up. I tell them they're tape designers and to consider it like a canvas, like you're an artist creating a design. And so I also have them do it on the back. But anyways, this is the front and what a finished portfolio would look like. So you could always leave them blank if your students don't have time to do this, but I just make it into one of my art lessons, and then they get really excited about having like a beautiful portfolio to hold their work. So I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe for more content. Thanks.